This Tacoma Police Department, how are you?
Who is this?
Tacoma Police Department, Officer Senecal, how are you? Gosh, it looks like you were calling in an incident that occurred.
Who was taken off the property, I guess a week ago. Restraining order at 5:22 this afternoon, walked in to the property. So I've been having issues here with some of the tenants, and I didn't want to have anything start, and I was already going out the gate to take my dog to Wright Park. So I went ahead and did that, called my boss, both of them, and called you guys.
Okay.
So that, just more than anything, I wanted it on record because tomorrow is my court date at 1:30. So I want to be able to say that I saw him. He was here on the property in breaking the restraining order by being here, and I wanted to make a note of it.
Okay, well, sir, just so you are aware, he hasn't been served with the paperwork yet, so he can't be in violation of it if he's not aware of it. So,
No. He has been served.
Okay,
and
well,
he was made
sir,
to leave the property
sir,
last week.
Sir, I'm just telling you what's showing on file for me, and I contacted the records division to confirm that, and they don't have any record of him formally being served with this paperwork right now.
And he was made to leave the property.
Okay. I'm not arguing any part of what it says, sir. What I'm saying is, for what we're showing, he was not formally served with that paperwork. Okay, and for me, it's not showing anything on there, and my records division doesn't have any file of it being served. But, and I'm letting you know that there is a record that you're calling in to report that he was on the property. But also, I'm just letting you know, sir, I'm not trying to have an argument with you. I'm just letting you know. So there is a record that you're calling in to report that he was on property, but per me reading this order right now, he's allowed to be on the property because he lives there, and he is refrained from being within 20 feet of you. So that's what I'm reading on my side, but it's still showing it's not served.
He was within 6 feet of me.
Okay, and I'm not arguing any part of that, sir, because as I've already stated, he's allowed to be there because for me, it's showing that the order has not been served yet. So that's what I was just letting you know the other clause that I had read in the order for you.
All right.
Okay?
I'll call my boss. Okay. Thank you.
Well, me calling them, they still need to bring it to the records division, sir. I can't.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
None of this makes sense to me, man. Are you kidding?
Okay.
Bye.
Okay, you have a good day.
See you later.
Welcome to unmute yourself and show your video so we can call this case. These are civil cases. So these cases are civil cases. What that means is the petitioner carries the burden of proof by what's referred to as a preponderance of the evidence to show more likely than not that it is that the respondent is engaged in acts of harassment. I do hear first from the petitioner, then from the respondent, and lastly from the petitioner. Because the petitioner carries the burden of proof, preponderance of the evidence is defined as showing something more likely than not, or tipping the scales of justice just beyond 50%. That's 50. Having said that, let's swear you both in. I'll have you both please raise your right hand with me together. And do you swear or affirm testimony you're about to give will be the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth? If so, please say yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll place our hands down. I heard an affirmative from both petitioner and respondent. I'll let you know what I've reviewed. So I've reviewed the petition. It looks like this arises out of an apartment situation with Mr. Gall either being an apartment manager or in some sort of official capacity. And the allegations in the petition indicated that the respondent had followed the petitioner on July 11th, wanting him to look at a video. There was also an allegation
Thank you, ma'am.
You're not coming in, Jerry.
No, I am coming in.
No, you can't come in,
Get your
Jerry.
hand- get your
I
hands-
live here too.
Get your hands off.
Dude, you can't come in here.
Get your
What the fuck's
hands
wrong
off
with
me.
you? Jerry, you need to leave. You're
Yeah.
early.
Just let me look around.
No, Jerry, get the fuck out. Or I'll call the police.
Go ahead.
What?
Call the police.
Are you kidding me?
Get your fucking hands off of me.
Dude, what are you fucking doing?
That the respondent pushed the petitioner 3 times in the chest. I had received an exhibit, which was an email by an Annette Stewart Fulton. MLK HDA has given the petitioner permission to file this restraining order, but it looked like that was filed by the respondent. Started good morning, afternoon, what's important is relative. Mr. Gall, had you filed that?
No,
Okay, then was that,
I did file it, but yes, it had come later on.
let's go ahead and go forward. Mr. Gall, you're gonna need to speak up a little more than you have been because you're a little difficult to hear. You're both sworn in under oath. Why are you seeking this order? Go ahead.
Well, firstly, was in violation of the order. He came on the property yesterday afternoon at 5:22 p.m. I called 911 after calling my boss, so I just want that known. When I first met was actually by way of the lady that he lives with. She had locked herself out of the house. And what she had said was, then held the key from her if she did anything wrong. Now it ended up
I didn't hear that.
had held the key from her, kept the key, wouldn't let her in.
Okay,
And the thing was not a tenant. He is not on the lease. He just moved in.
okay.
People in that respect, they are not supposed to have a key. So it bothered me right away that he would have the key at all. And through
Mr. Gall, can you describe what your capacity that you are with the apartment association at issue here?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm the manager of
Okay,
Martin Luther King Housing Association.
okay, continue.
And so anyway, over a span of weeks, I attempted to at least get to know him. From time to time, I would see him. And it seemed like every time that I spoke to him, he felt that I was implying on something, negative about him, when in fact, most of the time I wasn't even talking about him. And he's got this delusional thing going on, grandeur. And
I didn't hear that, a delusional thing, and I
well,
missed.
he thinks everything is blown up more than it is, and it's about him.
Okay,
There have been times where I had to deal with him, and he didn't want to cooperate. And I would let him know that he was not a tenant, a legal tenant. He was not on the lease.
okay,
And he would call me on, I went in one time and he asked me where my mask was. I was not required to wear a mask at the time. So immediately after he brought that up, I called my boss. And she said, well, wear a mask. It's good to do it anyway. It'll make everybody happy. From that point on, I did. Okay. He would follow me in the building. I went to work on a door upstairs on the other end of the building one time, and he followed me. And while I was working on the door with the tenant of that unit standing next to me, he started talking at me. And these are things that he does on a regular basis.
was that tenant, the individual that you referenced previously, Joanna, or a different tenant?
Well, this was a different tenant at the time. I was on the other side of the building in 901D, which is on the upper floor and on the opposite side of the building, towards
Okay.
the south end of the building, fixing a door. And the tenant actually had to say, "Excuse me, could you leave Mr. Gall alone? He's trying to work on my door." He would talk to me. He would say, "Hey, Jerry, why don't you come look at this?" Now, most of the time I would say, "Fred, I'm busy. Can you leave me alone, please?"
Thank you, ma'am. You're not coming in, Jerry.
No, I am coming in.
No, you can't come in,
Get your
Jerry.
hand- get your
I
hands-
live here
get
too.
Get your hands off.
Dude, you can't come in here.
Get
What
your
the fuck's
hands
wrong
off
with you?
Or whatever I could do to just kind of diffuse the situation and walk away. Occasionally I would walk up to him because I was hoping that we could get some kind of a rapport going, which we never did. But anyway, he made me, and this is the video that was referenced. He said, "Do you really want me to show this?" And I couldn't really tell what it was initially. I've learned since then that this is a two-party state, and so I'm wondering if that's even legal to do. But that's neither here nor there right at the moment. I just said, he said, "Do you want me to do something with this?" "I don't know. What is it you thinking of doing?" I said, "Do you mean take it to your attorney?" "Go ahead. Take it to your attorney. If you feel you can do something with it, then go ahead and do it." Now, this is pertaining to the time that I had to go and check rental. And I was on order to do that. I gave a 48-hour notice, says that I left it open face so that everybody could read it, which is not the truth. I've never done that and I never will. It's not right. So when it came to the day to do it, I did it. And they decided, him and Joanna, that I should not be coming in. I was briefed before that, about an hour before, by one of my other bosses, Annette, that by no means can they stop me. I have my right to go in and to observe what's inside. Are they taking care of the place? Is there any damage? Typical stuff. And he did not want to let me in. At that time, and this is another issue, is on that day, the day that comes after the 48 hours, I am allowed to come at any time.
So I am going to let the parties know that this isn't for landlord. There are clearly potentially landlord-tenant disagreements maybe here. And I'm not dealing with any landlord-tenant issues. There's a different forum for that, and it's a completely different court. That's for a superior court.
Okay.
So I'm really narrowed down to the allegations of harassment specifically. I realize they come up in a landlord and
Yeah.
in a context, and I would not necessarily say whether this is actually landlord tenant because I haven't quite heard enough there to establish there's some sort of a landlord tenant relationship, but clearly we're in a landlord situation and with at least Joanna as a tenant.
But all I'm just saying is that that was the day that I walked in and he put his hands on me 3 different times.
Thank you, ma'am. You're not coming in, Jerry.
No, I am coming in.
No, you can't come in,
Get your
Jerry.
hand- get your
I
hands-
live here
get
too.
Get your hands off.
Dude, you can't come in here.
Get your
What the fuck's
hands
wrong
off
with you?
He said, he kept saying, well, what are you here to do? Why did you have to do it right now? Why couldn't you do it later? I told him I had a doctor's appointment, which was completely true. I had a heart attack 1.5 years ago. I had to go to that doctor's appointment. So I said, I have to do it now. If you'll just let me in and take care of this, I will be gone within a minute or two. And he just kept coming right in front of me. He wouldn't get out of the way. He pushed me in the chest. I kept trying to walk forward. I didn't do anything I didn't grab his hands, didn't grab his arms, didn't do anything. If anything, I put my hands up so he wouldn't push me. And I looked at what I could look at and I got out very simply. Okay. There have been times, just like what I said, when he said, why don't you come look at this video, that he'd say, well, what do you want me to do? You know, this is really damning stuff, Jerry. Do you want me to, you know, take this in front of people? And that's when I told him, go ahead. I haven't done anything wrong. If anything, you're the guy that's not supposed to be here. You know, he just showed up one day. So I am just saying that he has done nothing positive on this property. Everything is grandiose. Everything is him against the system. And I am nothing but a creep and a liar, and doing anything I can to push some weird agenda he's got materialized in his head. So I don't know, Your Honor. I just know that he's a problem on this site.
Thank you. Not sure the motivation behind the petitioner, Mr. Gall, or why he chose to leave out some key information that would not constitute harassment by definition. Mr. Gall is on-site resident manager, acting agent for Martin Luther King Housing Development Association, petitioner's employer represented by the Gray Law Firm. Contact with Mr. Gall while on duty, acting as a representative in his official capacity, would be the only need to make contact to help facilitate a reasonable resolution between landlord and tenant who are in dispute. This tenant lacks a skill set and logistics needed to respond to Mr. Gray with any concerns, as he requires a written response. This on-site resident acting agent may have been misinformed as to my authority to advocate on this tenant's behalf. We'll make contact with Mr. Gray from the Gray Law Firm so we may confirm this, then inform this on-site resident manager and or the courts. Should the court need any additional information, you may contact me anytime. Contact information for the Gray Law Firm and the petitioner's employer is listed below. We would request a dismissal at this time, or if it were to please the court, to extend this order through resolution.
Or if it pleases the court, continue that, say that again.
I will, thank you. We would request a dismissal at this time, or if it were to please the court, to extend this order through resolution, because we just got into the Pierce County Eviction Resolution Program. I mean, that's all I really have to say.
And so I am actually reading your letter, the one that you have submitted that starts not sure the motivation behind that, because you have read it into the record, and I feel like I'm have a better understanding through the math, through everything else. So I don't think it's anything new. So I think I am going to read it. I think it's just an aid here. Motivation behind this.
Your Honor, I always like to side myself when I received this Friday from district court, because Mr. Gall left out some key pieces of information on his application here about being an on-site resident manager. And his employer may be down the street here, but he does his work at this location as an on-site resident manager.
Well, I sort of figured that was the case.
Yeah.
What did you feel was left out beyond that? The nature of the case came before the court. I figured he's the on-site manager, or he's in some capacity there. Mm-hmm.
He should have, because it's not Jerry Gall that I'm interested in speaking to once in a while. It's the landlord that's represented at this premise. It's not necessarily this man here, but it's the acting agent for this tenant.
And
May I say something else, Your Honor, please?
well, you can, but that's the juncture we're at. Mr. Gall, you get a final comment to the court.
I let my guard down, and I talked with him, and I really thought we had something going there for a minute, but then and this happened twice, and then I wouldn't see him for a day or so. Then the next time I'd see him, he'd be back on this rant, and I just didn't understand it. And he would do things like say, "Hey Jerry, the door's broken around front. You better go check it." Now I knew by the way he was talking and looking at me that something was going on. I would go around the front and I would check it, and there was nothing wrong with it. I think he got a big kick out of it. And I think he gets a big kick out of people that he thinks are less intelligent than him, that being me. You know, he thinks he's a lot smarter than me. He very well may be. But right now, and in the past, I've been worried about him. Last night, when he showed up here, I called 911. Now, this is part of what's going on right now. For whatever reason, and I have a good idea why, there was no proof from the officer that there was any harassment thing at all. He said, I can't do anything because there's nothing on my record saying that he did anything. So I found out today what the problem was, but all night long I haven't slept because I was worried about him. He got on the property, he was able to stay here, and it shouldn't have been that way. I haven't slept yet. This whole thing is upsetting, and it's ridiculous. He showed up one day, and all of a sudden, he's got more pull than anybody else, and I just don't. It's like putting a round hole in a square. It doesn't make sense to me.
Okay, thank you. I have had a chance to hear from both the petitioner and the respondent. I reviewed the petition. As I stated, my concern, and I'm finding Mr. Gall to be credible, I do have concern about the allegation, push the petitioner 3 times in the chest that was following the petitioner also. So I'm granting a standard order. It's a 1-year order. And it is I'm looking here. So the residents, this is what wasn't fully clear from the documents. Your residence, Mr. Gall, is in the location of the 905 South 9th Street. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor. It's on the same block. It's in the same area. It goes from I Street all the way to the alley.
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Mr. Khan?
May I comment, please?
I've already ruled. Are you commenting on the location or?
Well, I would just want to give Mr. Gall another opportunity before he makes the decision to say what he said, to know that what he did on the 29th of April was.
Yeah, that's getting into a different,
Okay.
and I ruled on that. And as I said, there may be other court rulings or a dispute resolution as it relates to landlord issues, but that's not before me. This is to have no contact with the petitioner, restrained from being at the residence of the petitioner. I listed that previously as the 905 South 9th Street, apartment C,
Yes,
Tacoma.
Your
And then there was also a workplace residence at that 1147 Tacoma Avenue South to not be within 100 feet of. Is there any reason you cannot abide by that?
Oh, absolutely not. That's
Okay.
not a problem. That does not exclude me from corresponding with the executive director or the comptroller. I can still correspond via email and mail on behalf of this tenant.
This order doesn't prohibit, it is directly to Mr. Gall. And
Thank
so it's just directly to him. And so I'm going to finish this one up, and then we'll talk a little bit more and make sure that we're clear on that. Okay. I'm going to say response restrained from being at the residence of the petitioner. So if I indicated to not be within 100 feet of 905 South 9th Street, apartment C, or that 1147 Tacoma Avenue South, is that?
I'm not sure what that boundary looks like. The way it was originally worked for me perfectly. I mean, I think it was 30 feet or something like that. Jerry lives on the 3rd floor.
Your
I mean,
Honor,
Mr. Gall?
will he be, 901 is part of this whole area. 901B which is where he's been living. Is he able to live there?
Well, I'm not going to use an anti-harassment order to evict someone. That's partially why it was drafted that way, because if someone is able to be evicted, talk to Superior Court about that. But I'm just trying to make sure, Mr. Gall, that no one is putting hands on you. There's no pushing, there's no following. And that there's a buffer there for Mr. Gall. So I'm going to go back to my earlier order. I was the one that did draft the earlier order, so I'm going to go back to how I did it. And I remember trying to do this fairly carefully to take into account the circumstances, at least as I could see them ex parte.
I work at 901, Your Honor.
Well, why is 1147 Tacoma Avenue South there?
That's the building down on Tacoma Avenue, Your Honor. That's
Okay.
the office down on Tacoma Avenue. It's about 3/4 of a mile away from here.
Okay.
He doesn't know.
It was in your petition, sir. I didn't just pull it out of nowhere.
I understand that, but I'm not the one that said to put it down on there anyway.
Okay.
It's
So-
901 to 909 that it's this property here.
Okay, but is that inclusive of Joanna's property?
Yes, 901 to 909 would be, yes.
So, I'm not gonna exclude that. I am going, again, if there is a lawful basis to remove him from there, that would be by a Superior Court judge.
Okay.
I am going to indicate that, so I'm going to take that 100 feet from that 1147 Tacoma Avenue South, because it just doesn't seem real relevant here.
No, it isn't. You're right.
Okay, yeah, and again, we get these ex parte. I have to make a decision from a couple paragraphs on a petition and try and sort it through. So it's a little different than I initially read. So I am going to indicate this language. Respondent is restrained from being at the residence of the petitioner located at, that's the 905 South 9th Street, apartment C. It's the reason I put the apartment there.
Yes, ma'am.
Tacoma, Washington, and I'll go ahead and put the zip code in like I did before. Then I'm going to indicate respondent, and this is why I indicated this before. And I'm gonna, it's not excluded from being at his own apartment unit if he resides there. And that's probably the question you're gonna have to bring to someone else in the same apartment complex as petitioner. Respondent is prohibited from being within, and I think I'm going to increase that to 30 feet. Doesn't seem like there's any reason you should be within 30 feet of his residence. It's another area, and I think that gives some peace of mind as well. Respondent is prohibited from being within 30 feet of the petitioner's person.
Now, Your Honor, if I may, yesterday, I believe I was within that boundary, yet Mr. Gall called 911. I'm concerned about this happening again when it's not necessary. I mean, because I'm not trying to approach Mr. Gall. I know there's an harassment order in place. Our business is done today. I mean, for a year at least.
Okay, so what happens when I need to go fix something and I'm 10 foot away from where he lives because I work in that building?
Okay.
But with all due respect, Your Honor, I would ask, how often does Jerry work in that building? And he can simply call me or whatever I could do to work with Jerry so Jerry could do his job in that building. That's perfectly fine with me. I mean, I don't know if that's possible. We can't have.
Well, I think here's the thing, and Mr. Gall, is that it's not prohibiting, there's no prohibition on you, Mr. Gall. You go about your work, petitioner's not, the respondent's not to bother you at all. And he isn't to be within 30 feet, so.
Your Honor, I find this troubling because in the past, before COVID, this would have been an issue. He's not a tenant. He's not a legal tenant. He's not on the
Yeah,
lease.
well, a landlord tenant, it's all quite different during COVID. And I know that people have a lot of feelings about that. Again, that's not in front of me. Frankly, let me see if there's something I can do.
Your Honor, what you're not understanding is Mr. Gall's place of employment is 901, 903, 905, and 909 South 9th Street.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Gall.
No, Your Honor, I'm just wondering, from the very beginning, when I walked up to the window and said that he had put his hands on me, why it wasn't a restraining order and a harassment. I mean, he put his hands on me, and so I'm wondering why it's a harassment order. I did.
You filed for a harassment order, sir. You're the one that filed that way.
I
So
didn't.
that's why it's a harassment order. If you're
I did
seeking
not.
something different, that's what it is. You're
did-
not married, so it's not a domestic violence order. Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
You can both exit out at this time.
Thank you very much.
Come into the 6th floor courtroom, we can open it and you can just get a copy of the order if that's easiest.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.